Welcome to Close Quarters. These are new days for us, and we are also trying our best to understand how it's going. Hotels are one of the biggest things that are really suffering during these times. I wanted to speak about how hotels are surviving during these days, and I wanted to speak about it at a place where I come very often to. And also, we shoot Date with Danu here, so I have Mr. Kamal. Thank you so very much for giving us some of your time to speak about the new normal. The hotel industry, you took this huge chain, this huge weapon in your hand, the worst time.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
How has it?
It's almost been 1 year now. I started in October.
Yeah.
Started at Cinnamon Lakeside first, and then moved to Grand, looking after both hotels. I came back home during the pandemic. Started working during the pandemic, and started working through the pandemic now. We laugh about it, but it's actually really
dreadful time.
Sad situation, you know, especially for our industry.
Yeah.
When it comes to our industry, it's not just on the hotels, it's the supply chains, the event organizers, everyone who is involved in delivering service for hotels have been affected. You know, so it's really a terrible time. I think this time, this trend started in 2019 with the bomb blast for Sri Lanka, right? And then we saw a little spike in November, December, January, coming into 2020, and then in March we had to shut down the country.
I think 2019, the world felt sorry for Sri Lanka over the fact that it was so unwanted, so untimely, and it was ruthless. And I think the world wanted to support our economy. And right now we are going through such a dry spell. Tell me, as the hotel industry, like all the hotels, have you all sat and spoken about what hotels can do to improve tourism?
I think there is a lot of efforts put through this. When you talk about the development of the hotel industry in Sri Lanka in general, right? The Tourism Development Authority, together with the Sri Lankan Tourism Ministry, is working hand in hand to develop this industry or bring it to the next level. There are quite a lot of things that we need to do, but during the pandemic, right now our focus should be to get the vaccination completed to at least to 60-70% of our population, so that there's confidence from our key source markets to bring tourists to Sri Lanka. You know, I saw today France has lifted the red zone warning for Sri Lanka. It has moved to yellow, which is a good sign. Great Britain removed it last week, which is a good sign. So both countries, the people can travel between the two countries, which is a great sign. So these are the things actually that's happening behind the scene, I think. Internally as hotels, we also need to get ready to welcome tourists. I mean, we are operating few bubble tours at the moment, but that is not the future of the tourism, because, you know, when the tourists come to a destination, they want to be free.
True.
They want to experience the country where a local lived in that country, you know. So that's the whole purpose of being a tourist, right? Go to a destination. So if you can't do that, if you have to be in a bubble,
what's the point?
Within restrictions, no point of going to that destination, you know. True. So we need to create that. I think, like I said, the vaccination drive is number one. Bringing that message out to the world, telling the world about how safe and secure we are. Is also very important.
Because Cinnamon as a brand has decided to grow tremendously in terms of promoting our country, and also bringing in some shows with Cinnamon Life. We were media partners for, even Sound of Music was here. Like, it's amazing to have these. With this monumental hotel coming up, as somebody who is a part of the brand, are you scared for tomorrow?
There's a lot of hope about the industry. Sri Lankan tourism industry is very resilient. You know, we've been through 30 years of war. We had bad patches right throughout, but we came back, we bounced back. I came back to work in Sri Lanka for the first time in 2007, during the height of the war. And I served in Sri Lanka for about 3 years, and I've been through the war period, and then the post-war era in 2011-12, I saw the growth of the industry. You know, there's a natural attraction to Sri Lanka, right? We need to get ourselves organized in order to carve an experience for our guests, which is original for Sri Lanka. And that is how we set ourselves apart from the competition, which is the regional giants in the tourism industry. And that's how we can attract these tourists to Sri Lanka, right? Adding cinnamon life to Colombo, I think will be the cherry on top of the cake for many, many years to come. It's a fantastic product that is coming up with 800 rooms. It's going to, I think it will be the game changer. It will be a destination driver. So we need this kind of projects to happen in Sri Lanka to drive tourism into the destination.
In terms of salary cuts, it's one of the biggest things that we have always spoken about. And also hotel staff, you know, lots of people had to let go of so many people. How was it for you all at Cinnamon?
You know, being a part of the largest conglomerate in Sri Lanka, John Keel's Holdings, we are fortunate to say that we haven't had any pay cuts throughout our hotels. We have had natural attrition because of the service charge issue that we are facing, because when you have less guests or no guests to say,
who to serve?
Yeah, and there's no service charge, right? So a bigger part of the salaries on the low income levels, they depend on the service charge, and the service charge has been affected over the last 2 years. A lot of the people who are coming from outstations to work in Colombo, they can't support themselves anymore without the service charge. So there is a natural attrition in the industry. It's not just common for, it's not just for Cinnamon Hotels and Resort, but overall for the industry. And that will be the challenge for us going forward, to find those people to come back to work when tourism kicks back in to Sri Lanka, you know. So this will be a huge challenge. So for us, one of our main aim is to try and retain our trained staff, because we have invested in them. There's a lot of time that we have spent with them. Cinnamon Hotels and Resorts have an excellent training department. I have seen many parts of the world, and I've worked with a lot of different international companies, but to the extent that we go as Cinnamon Hotels and Resorts, I think it's great to see that a Sri Lankan hotel chain is doing so much to build talent to the industry. So yeah, major part of that is to make sure that we retain our team members when the tourism is back, that we can deliver that experience to the guests.
In terms of tourism in whole, Sri Lanka, we changed our taglines many a times, from Pearl of the Indian Ocean to so many, which I have now lost count of. But tell me, do you think the tourism guidelines or the tourism ministry in promoting Sri Lanka is doing a great job, or do you feel that we as a nation should push them a little bit more?
I think industry stakeholders have a bigger role to play here. I think we are the ones who are actually impacted through the strategies that we put in place as a country. We spend quite a lot of money, we invest on a lot of different projects. So if we don't get the right outcome from the Tourism Development Authority or the Ministry of Tourism, it will be affected on our part of business, you know. But I see now over the last 3 to 4 years, we are sticking to one slogan, So Sri Lanka, which is a good thing. And like I have talked about this many times, to develop tourism in any country, I think we have to have a long-term strategy.
True.
Within that long-term strategy, we can launch different campaigns based on the time of the year, based on the festivals you have in a country. It depends on what you want to do, but your strategy must be the same. It's a long-term strategy that we have to work on. So to build that strategy, to firm it up, I think the industry stakeholders has to be involved in that part of building the strategy.
Yeah. Something I wanted to ask about is, there were actually some hotels in this country, one time they clearly put up a board saying foreigners only, and it was not open to the locals, and now they actually, what do you think about creating more opportunities for locals to enjoy these hotels and experiences? Because that's what we could rotate with at this very moment.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen over the last 2 years that has been a bread and butter, right? Since I've been back in Sri Lanka, I see it's only the locals who are supporting us, and this is our bread and butter. Because if you look at the food and beverage operation, Cinnamon Grand, we have about 15 different outlets. Cinnamon Lake, we have 7 outlets. If you look at our event space, the banqueting, weddings, you know, that entire business is dependent on the local community. So we need to embrace the local community. Otherwise, we won't have a survival as as a hotel, as an industry, you know. So I'm not sure which hotels put out a board. Locals are not welcome, but I don't think any of our hotels did that, and I don't think it's a wise thing to do, because locals are the bread and butter, like I said. And also for tourists, it's very important to see that the locals are patronizing these properties or these hotels, because then they feel, oh, this is an original place, this is where I can meet a local, I can get a cultural experience because there are locals in this space, right? So this is a huge advantage when you want to attract foreigners to a hotel, to have locals who are patronizing the entity.
As someone who has actually been given the most testing times in this industry, I think you have done a brilliant job. Want to ask you, a hotel runs with so many features, like even if you walk into the coffee shop here, I think we have all come here from the time we were young. This has been our place to sit and people watch and have your coffee. It has been a part of the cinnamon culture for us. Even the person who plays the piano there is now without work because he or she is at home because there's nobody to treat. At a situation like this, what would you like to tell the people who are watching, how they could support this industry that really, because Sri Lanka is living off tourism and we are really suffering now?
Absolutely. I mean, Sri Lanka tourism industry produces 4% of the GDP of Sri Lankan economy, right? So it's a huge industry, and this is one of the main foreign income earners for the country. If you look at that side of the business now, like you said, everyone who's attached to this industry, like the pianists or the vegetable supplier, the fruit supplier, the fish supplier, everyone has been affected. The musicians, everyone has been affected. What I can tell the local community is support as much as you can. Once we open the country again, the hotels are safe to visit, I think, because in general, the hotels always operate under strict health and safety guidelines, even before COVID. So with COVID, we have implemented new measures to ensure that, you know, we are a safe and secure place for visitors to come. Also, the two hotels that I manage, actually at the moment at Cinnamon Lakeside, we are almost 100% vaccinated, fully vaccinated 99%. This hotel will complete the vaccination program by end of this month. So I can assure you that when you visit hotels, it's not just common for our hotels, but all the 5-star hotels who have got the safe and secure certification from the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority is in this program to get everyone vaccinated. So they are safe places to go for you to get entertained and also support that system in order to support everyone who is involved in this industry.
Correct. Yeah. Always support local brands, and it's always good to know that a local brand can be celebrated as an international standard brand, and that's always important. Thank you so very much, Kamal, for giving us an insight to how hotels are running these days. I think the only way we can all be safe is to just follow guidelines and keep those in mind when you visit any place. Thank you so very much. Anything that you would like to add?
No, Danu, thank you very much. Thanks for giving me the opportunity, and I look forward for better times now.
Yes,
hopefully towards the festive season we can expect a little bit more traffic coming into our hotels.
Yeah.
And I must say we are ready to welcome guests.
Yeah.
We've been working on a lot of things behind the scene, you know, what we can do during this time, getting ourselves organized, getting teams trained, putting certain processes in place. So we are ready to welcome.
Superb. On that note, I really can't wait. Hopefully the festive season will be a joyous one for all of us. Be safe, follow the regulations until we see you again with another edition to Close Quarters.